it's a big show.
Welcome to the Fade Route
It's a big bad show tonight.
with DNZ.
Yeah, it's a big show.
Here are your hosts,
Cracking up, telling them lies.
DNZ.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Fade Route with D and Z. I am D, and we've got a great show for you tonight. The Lakers get Pat Beverley, the Mets lose Max Scherzer, and the Steelers have named their starting quarterback. But we'll begin today's show with football's back.
Woo-hoo!
The Rams start out their title defense against Josh Allen and the Super Bowl favorite Buffalo Bills. But there's a slew of games on the schedule that we're all excited for. So Z, tell me, what game are you most excited for this weekend?
Well, first and foremost, Happy New Year. It's back. I hope
It's back!
It's back.
And ladies and gentlemen, I would not let Z put tennis before anything on this show. I know he was itching to talk about Serena and give us one of those, other topics we start with, but it's football, baby. It's here.
Well, now that you mention it, Francis Tiafoe. No, I'm just messing with you guys. I am looking forward to. You have, a pretty good slew of 4:00 games. You have the Chiefs at the Cardinals, right? You have this new look Chiefs team, right? You don't have Tyreek Hill anymore. You're going to spread it around with Juju, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. You're going to emphasize the run game. And they're taking on the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are going to, this is going to be a make or break year for them. They don't have DeAndre Hopkins. They don't have D-Hop to start. So is Hollywood Brown going to fill in that number one role? And is Kyler Murray going to step up and take that level that people have put him on, have claimed that he's on, that he's being paid to be on? Like, I'm intrigued by that. You have a couple of revenge games, right? You have a little bit of Russell Wilson going back to Seattle, taking on Geno Smith and the Seahawks on Monday night. It's a very interesting matchup. You have the Baker Bowl. You have the Browns and the Panthers. I'm looking for that from a purely like Jerry Springer type perverse enjoyment, perverse enthusiasm for that. But I gotta say, like, you're gonna get a little bit of juice for Bucks Cowboys on Sunday night. To me, this is the most intriguing matchup is Bills Rams, right? Because you have the defending champion in the Rams who are still loaded for bear, right? You lost Woods, you lost Beckham, but there's still plenty of firepower on this team. And we're going to see what's going to happen, because the Bills, there's a lot of expectations placed on the Bills, and they are a 2.5-point favorite currently. If you guys play that, play that out in Vegas, and I'm looking for specific positions. I want to see if the Bills actually have a run game. You still have Singletary, you still have Moss. I know those are your guys, but they added James Cook. You're looking at a really good receiver core, good tight end. They can definitely put some pressure on the Rams. They certainly can. I just want to see in this heavyweight matchup who's going to come out on top, and I'm not going to tell you yet because that is going to be saved for the option.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the Rams opening up against the Bills, I'm not going to give up who I'm picking either, but I think it'll be a good game, but I also think the Rams have been a little lazy. I'm not sure how much their heart is in it for this season. And to me, this game won't necessarily represent what's going to happen moving forward. I mean, the Rams could just come out with adrenaline and beat the Bills, or the Bills can come up and light up the Rams, and doesn't necessarily mean where the season's going to go from here. I have two other games that are much more appealing to me. I don't really care about the opening night game, as I said. I want to see the Jets get scorched by Lamar Jackson without his new contract. Robert Saleh is a defensive guy. This game has been on the schedule for months now. What was your plan to stop Lamar Jackson and the Ravens this Sunday? You had all the time to prepare for this game. So I'm curious in what he does. I don't want to hear about Zach Wilson. I don't want to hear about Joe Flacco. I don't want to hear about any of that nonsense. You are a defensive coordinator. That's your background. You put together this defense, you and Joe Douglas. You're going against Lamar Jackson in a contract year. Go. So that's what I want to see. The second one I want to see is I'm into the Jerry Bowl. I want to see Browns and the Panthers. I want to see Baker get his revenge. I want to see him come in and light up the Cleveland Browns. And I'm not just saying that because DJ Moore's on my fantasy team, and I may have to pick up Baker Mayfield because I'm uncertain at quarterback for Week 1.
Well, that's kind of a tricky spot, but Baker, that is intriguing from a perverse standpoint. But I don't think it's going to be that much of a game, frankly. You have Jacoby Brissett leading the Browns. You have Baker,
right, exactly,
you have
right.
Baker leading the Panthers. I really don't have a lot of hopes. Like that game, you're looking for when's McCaffrey going to get hurt? Like, is there going to be an issue moving the ball if you're the Browns? Because Carolina's not stupid. They're going to try and stuff the run because they know they're going to come at them with Chubb and Hunt. Like, they know that because Brissett is their quarterback.
And you know this, man!
You know this! Like, come on. It's as plain as the nose on your face. But, you have a few other matchups that have the potential to be good. But I just don't know how it's going to be. But, again, at the 4 o'clock hour, Raiders-Chargers. But, again, that's perverse enjoyment. How's Brandon Staley going to fuck this up?
Right.
That's what I'm looking at. How's Coach Staley going to ruin this? And Packers-Vikings. Who's going to blow it? Rodgers or Cousins? Because it's not primetime Kirk Cousins, so he's not going to be great.
The funny thing is like you just named those two games, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of people that feel Kirk Cousins takes the step up this year, becomes an MVP candidate. Me being one of the people.
Just because he's injured in one. Come on.
Just it's time, right? It's time. It's just based on time. It's not based on it. Like Jake Delhomme, it's time. It's just time, right? Same to Kurt Warner. It's just time. And then there's other people who also think that, Aaron's got a new crop of receivers. They're not going to be on the same page. That's going to falter. But then there's another group that says, hey, man, it's Justin Herbert's time. He's going to be the Pat Mahomes of this season, 50 touchdowns, MVP, Super Bowl. So are we going to see we're going to see one of those two things come to light in those two games? I would say that those are more appealing games to me than the Rams game. I feel like I know what I'm going to get with that game. You got the Super Bowl champs. I mean, how could they blow this, right?
Well, we're going to tune in to find out. But kudos to the Lions. Before we segue into another topic here, the Lions, congratulations. You finally have sold out a game for the first time since 2019.
Wow.
Not only did you sell it out, and it's the first non-Thanksgiving game where it's standing room only at Ford Field. I don't think it's going to help, but kudos to you, Detroit. Your team is exciting and fun to watch.
Can you take the championship from DNZ? This year, you can play our football pick'em on CBS Sports and compete against us in the option every week. Check the link in our Instagram bio, Fade Route Podcast, for all the details and to sign up. Then tune into the Fade Route every week until the Super Bowl for updates and standings. Bring it on.
But sticking with football and speaking of fun to watch, the Steelers have finally named their QB1. It is Mitch Trubisky of Chicago Bear and clipboard behind Josh Allen fame. The former first-round pick was with the Bills last year, backing up Mr. Allen, and now he's back in the driver's seat, presumably until Kenny Pickett's small hands are ready to pick up the football. So what is Mitch's floor and what is Mitch's ceiling this year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm big on Mitch. I liked him when he was in Chicago. I didn't think there was a problem with him. I thought there was a problem with the coaching staff. Like, the coaching staff was not prepared to coach Mitchell Trubisky. They were trying to do the same thing they were doing in Kansas City, and that's not his strong point. I feel like Mitch is in Pittsburgh. His role is defined. He's got a very talented running back. He's got probably B and C level receivers, decent offensive line, one of the best defenses in football, and he's going to get coached. And if he takes to that coaching, I see a 10-win team here, maybe 11 wins and a playoff berth. Now, what's the floor? The floor is that it doesn't go as planned. He reverts back to his ways of not getting rid of the ball, and where he gets hurt, and he gets replaced in 4 games. I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to go the whole season with a 500 Mitch Trubisky. Like at 5-5, it's like, all right, let's just go with small hands. Or at like 4-6, they're like, what are we doing here? But their division, not saying it's up in the air, right? I don't really believe in the Bengals to repeat. The Browns have a whole slew of issues, and who knows what the Ravens are going to be like with a quarterback who hasn't even signed a contract yet. So I like Mitch. Rooting for Mitch. I hope he competes for Comeback Player of the Year.
Chicago didn't have a Mitch Trubisky problem. Chicago had a Matt Nagy problem. And it's very telling that neither one of them is still in Chicago. But Mitch Trubisky, in his time in the NFL, has had one season where he's thrown more picks than touchdowns. And it was last year because he only threw 8 passes. He threw 8 passes, no touchdowns, 1 pick. That is it. Every year, he has been above average in terms of that. Age 24 season, 24 touchdowns, 12 picks. The next year, 17 touchdowns, 10 picks. The year after that, 16 touchdowns, 8 picks. For the Bears. For the Bears. For the Bears. The Bears. And I would argue, right, because he was throwing a hoop. Allen Robinson, okay. But then, after next best player, Anthony Miller. Come on. You already mentioned it. Najee Harris is there. That room, that running back room, solid. Offensive line, we're going to see. It appears to be solid. 3 deep on your wideouts. You have Pickens, you have Claypool, you have Johnson. I'm a little more bullish on them than you are. I think they're going to be pretty good. And, are they going to be Juju? No. Are they going to be Antonio Brown? No. Claypool has potential. Deontay Johnson has major potential. And I just mentioned him. Anthony Miller is on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, my God. And congratulations, Anthony Miller. Congratulations, you made the Pittsburgh Steelers. But this team is going to be, Mitch's to steer. He only has to manage this game. They're never going to ask him to out and out win them a game. And they won't have to because they're going to rely on the defense. You have Cam Hayward, Tyson Alualu, Larry Ogunjobi, your favorite player, TJ Watt, Devin Bush, Miles Jack. You have talent. And that's secondary with Sutton, Fitzpatrick, and Edmonds. You have players. You have legit players. You have Levi Wallace can't even start on this team. They went and got him from Buffalo. He's on the bench. So that's pretty damn formidable. And of course, you have Chris Boswell, who's one of the best kickers in the league.
He is really good. Yeah. So I like it, and I'm intrigued to see what the year brings. I'm rooting for him, and this guy was a former first-round pick. I mean, I don't want the door to close on him, and nobody wanted him. Last year, he was a backup in Buffalo. I hope he learned a lot under, sitting behind Josh Allen and with Brian Daboll, and I hope last year wasn't a wasted season, but he's got a lot to prove here. He knows there's no future for him beyond this year in Pittsburgh. Cody Pickett is waiting in the wings. He's playing for the next contract. Right? The Jets are going to need somebody.
The Giants.
The Giants are going to need somebody. The Bears. No, he's not going back to the
Oh
Bears.
my God, could you imagine?
But Atlanta might need somebody, right? Seattle's going to need somebody. These are all places. Green Bay might need somebody, So these are all places where, he will have a chance if he has a successful showing.
Think about this for a second. If I can just throw this out there to you.
Throw it out there. Let's see what happens.
A player comp at this part in his career. Would you say at this point in his career he is comparable to the career arc? I'm not saying statistic-wise, the career arc of Mark Sanchez.
Oh, jeez. You're going to give him that? Oh, fuck. I thought you were going with Steve Young or something like that.
No.
Mark Sanchez? The difference
good enough
is...
to get his team to the playoffs. As we noted with Coach Westhoff, and he said it in his book, and we've said it multiple times, Sanchez didn't do too much to get the Jets where they are, and Mitch was very much in that same boat when he was with Chicago. It was a running team.
People forget that one year with Nagy, they got to the playoffs. They almost beat the Saints. I think they were a PI call away from really getting into scoring position and putting pressure on the Saints. Mark Sanchez,
in terms of where he is in his career, he's already on his third team, and he's only 27.
But Mark played all those years for the Jets before they realized they had trash. And they even gave him a contract extension.
Well, to be fair, the Jets also did him dirty by putting him out there at Snoopy Bowl. He lost a significant amount of time to Geno Smith because of that. Would he have lost the job to Geno Smith eventually? I don't know. But Rex didn't do him any favors.
The Jets did him dirty by drafting him in the first fucking round that early. That's what the Jets did him dirty on. The kid played 1 year at USC. Imagine if the Jets had a competent quarterback those years. They would have won probably back-to-back Super Bowls. This kid was figuring out where he was going to throw it before he even got the ball from the center. I mean, anybody watching on TV could see that. They were calling quick slants and easy to read plays for the kid. I actually like Trubisky a little better than that. I give him a better shake than compare to Mark Sanchez. I think he has a chance to show. This is the difference, right? The difference is when Mark Sanchez left the Jets, we knew what Mark was, and he wasn't going to become a starter ever again. I truly believe Trubisky has talent. I think he's a good player, and I think he's auditioning for his next role, and I think he will get another starting job.
For all the grill masters, green thumbers, home repair heroes, and DIY aficionados in the Richmond, Virginia area, if you're looking for a personal service, quality products, and a convenient shopping experience, look no further than Thacker Ace Hardware in Colonial Heights, Virginia. Owner Don Rackley and his team of local experts have everything you need to tackle all of your home projects. I'm talking paints by Benjamin Moore and Clark in Kensington, power tools by Craftsman and Milwaukee, electrical, plumbing, hardware, and let's not miss the grills. Weber, Big Green Egg, Traeger, Blackstone, top shelf, amazing. And for all you green thumbers, their nursery department is fantastic. Give them a call today, 804-766-4223, or stop by 27 Dunlop Village in Colonial Heights. That's 804-766-4223, or swing by 27 Dunlop Village in Colonial Heights. Thacker Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
But now we are one day away from kickoff. We've completed all of our order up segments for the 2022 season. So now I ask you, Z, who do you have in the AFC and NFC championship games? Who do you have meeting in the Super Bowl? And who will hoist the Lombardi Trophy in February?
Well, it's going to be a long season, right? Things are going to happen. Teams that we think are going to be good are going to be awful. Teams that we think are going to be awful are going to be good, right? Who expected the Cincinnati Bengals last year? So these things bubble up from time to time. But I think it is the Buffalo Bills' time, right? If not now, when? They need to ascend to the next level. The way the Cleveland Browns did not and ultimately self-destructed, the Buffalo Bills need to be in that prime position. Now, who's going to join them in the AFC title game? That's hard. But I gotta say, I like what the Chiefs did. I like enough of what the Chiefs did that I think they're going to be balanced enough that they can make some noise. And then if they bring in a little spark plug like Odell Beckham Jr. to bolster that wide receiver room, that makes them even more dangerous. So I really like the matchup of Chiefs and Bills. And for the Bills' sake, they got to win, right? It's Super Bowl or bust this year. As far as the NFC has a lot of mediocrity. A lot. So I can see a team bubbling up, right? I could see the Saints are talented enough to make a run. You have a team like, if the Vikings somehow get their shit together and Dalvin Cook isn't hurt, like maybe Dalvin Cook will be able to kind of keep the ship afloat, and maybe the Vikings make a little noise. But and you mentioned the Rams hangover already. It could be very real. It could be very real that they have a Super Bowl hangover and they just do not. They do not repeat, and they don't meet the expectations that we have for them. But then that leaves you with old reliables, right? But are they really reliable? The Green Bay Packers, yes, Rodgers is still there, but with that receiving core. Tom Brady's still there in Tampa Bay, but behind that offensive line. There are a lot of question marks in the NFC, and I mean, we have to choose, right? That's part of the issue here. We have to choose. And if I'm going to choose, I'm gonna step out on a limb. I'm gonna say the Saints get in as a wild card and they make the NFC title game. And the Saints are going to be joined by the Rams. I think they're going to have enough there that they'll be able to maneuver their way in.
So Jameis, you believe in Jameis?
I believe in Alvin Kamara. Now, if Alvin Kamara can have his legal issues taken care of, and Jameis doesn't turn into Tampa Bay Jameis, he's got potential. Like, he's got a cannon for an arm. If he can cut down the picks, if he could ever cut down the goddamn picks, and if they utilize that Swiss Army knife, that H-back, Taysom Hill, coach, he's an H-back. You're absolutely right, Coach Westhoff. Taysom Hill is an H-back. If they utilize him properly, or even throw in some gadget plays, right, like turn him into Antoine Randall L., that adds another dimension, and I think that defense is still good enough to play. So they're going to give the Rams a run for their money. But you heard it here first. Thursday's game, tomorrow night's game, will be replayed in the Super Bowl. You heard it here first. It's going to be Bills-Rams. And as far as the winner, I'm going to go with the Bills because it's time. You said it before. It's time. They have to ascend now. Josh Allen needs to take the next step.
Yeah, I mean, you sound like the NFL Network guys. They all homers over there. They're all chalking it up and taking the Bills, out of the AFC East. I mean, so what I'm gonna be completely different, man. I believe in the Chargers this year. I think Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler, I think they're going to come out and be studs. They've got Khalil Mack and Bosa on the outside for defense. And I think Herbert has the type of year Pat Mahomes had a couple years ago where he just lights it up. And on the other side, in the AFC title game, I got the Colts, man. I believe in their defense. They can run the ball and control the clock. They have a veteran quarterback that knows how to win. He's savvy. And I'm not saying they're going to win 13 games, 14 games, 12 games. They're going to be a wild card team. But they're not going to be a team you want to play. On the other side, I got the 49ers. I think the 49ers, somebody asked me, how are you picking the 49ers? Hello, they were in the conference championship game last year. Like, with Jimmy G and a bad thumb or whatever was wrong with his hand. How could I not pick this team? And I do believe in Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance is going to be what they need. And if he falters, Jimmy G is there. They've got the running back. They've got the defense. I think this year they get there. And an old school opponent will meet them in the championship game. They will face the Dallas Cowboys. Truly believe it. I've looked at their schedule. I can't see how the team fails. I don't want them to be successful.
You're not looking hard enough. Trust me, you're not looking hard enough. I don't see how they fail. But I do see them failing in the championship game. I have the 49ers topping Dallas in the championship game. And I then have the Chargers ending Matt Ryan's chances at going to another Super Bowl. So I have the Chargers and the 49ers in the Super Bowl. It's a repeat of a Super Bowl played in 1994. But this time, I have the Chargers as champions. I'm all in on Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Well, yeah, Stan Humphries isn't going to be quarterbacking this time, so I think they might actually have a shot. But the coach, I don't trust him.
I don't trust him either. But I mean, at the end of the day, right? Coaches coach, players play. They have the makings of it. He can only fuck it up so much. I mean, Bosa and Khalil Mack. How are they not going to get to the quarterback? Like, how are they not going to get to the quarterback?
Joey Bosa gets hurt all the time. It could end up being the Bosa Brothers Super Bowl. That's an interesting storyline.
Right, that's the storyline that the NFL plays up. Like, it seems like we have the makings now. Some outside teams. I actually like the Saints' chances. I agree with you. I think Jameis is gonna have a really good year. I mean, some of the company he's with as far as passing yards and passing touchdowns, it surprised you. Like, he's up there with like Peyton Manning in some of these stats. I think Tom's gonna be there. Like, you're not gonna get rid of Tom Brady. Tom's gonna be there. The Rams, I don't know why. For whatever reason, I just don't think they're hungry. I don't think they get it. And remember, we talked about it last season when they made all those trades. Like, there's not a lot of depth there. You lose a guy or two, you're fucked. Like, there's no depth on the team.